This is Tattoo Shop Talk, and today we are talking about bad experiences from people who are into tattooing, like tattooing, or people who want to get into tattooing. So bad apprenticeships and bad experiences down the line. And now quick intro. Tattoo Shop Talk, a weekly web show where we talk tattoo shop related stuff, tips, tricks, tutorials, and longer type of conversations like this one. If that's something for you, then consider hitting that subscribe button, and you can always leave your comments and press likes and the other button if you that kind of person. And now back to bad experiences.
As a tattooer, experiencing terrible things with your first guest spots or with working in a shop which was beautiful from beginning and it turned out not that fine.
It turned on you.
It turned on you.
Yeah, on that guest spot thing, like sometimes first guest spot doesn't say a thing. The second or third does, because I heard from so many people that you arrange guest spot, so you're kind of a bit more flexible. You're like, yeah, I'm just looking for this, I'm just looking for that. The person there on the other end, they're like, yeah, come by, it's all gonna be good. So they also clean the house, prepared for the party, they invite you and all that.
Clean sheets.
Yeah, that you go there and like it's all nice and you're like, oh, okay, it wasn't that bad.
It was good.
Yeah, the person says like, yeah, you have to build up a little bit. So you're like, oh, okay, maybe next time will be better. And then you go next time and the things are kind of same or maybe even worse. And then on the third time, you're kind of like, I suspect something fishy here.
Yeah, and you know why this kind of thing works? Because, for example, there's one shop where a lot of my friends, tattooers, went, and they were like coming back rich, full pockets, like they were like floating in money. In 1 week's time, they made 3 months' job in fucking their country. And the problem is when you get that much money and you go there for 3 times, afterwards you, even if there is not enough money, you go again because you hope that you're gonna get that same amount of money again.
It's like that situation where guy wins in a slot machine.
Yes!
And you're like, I'm gonna do that again.
Exactly. What I would do is, if I go to the shop and I see something goes down, I definitely talk with the people. I'm not trying to hide my emotions. I'm like going straight. I'm like, hey, what's going on? Maybe the shop is going bad, maybe the season is bad, maybe there is some difficulties the shop has. If you go to the shop as a guest artist and you are working every day and you see the guys who work there all the time don't have any work, that's like a red light, dude. Like that means you are in the wrong place. You can suck out all the money you can, but one day you're gonna pay for a ticket, you go there and no one's gonna give a shit about you because there will be a new tattooer who's coming from another country and he has to feel good and welcome there. So be careful of this stuff.
I also talk with people where they're like, just go once and they're like, fuck this shit.
That's
like straight up, and that's harder to avoid because when you go to the place, you're like, oh, okay, I met these tattooists who work there. We sort of friends now. We can ask questions, and then they maybe say like, yeah, it's not always unicorns and butterflies, and people throw money at you. But if you go for first time, I want to plug in an example. Like I was on a tattoo convention, and I'm walking past this big booth of tattoo shop, which is like a known chain. Like the owner is this character that you can recognize from like 3 miles away. He's like this computer game Mortal Kombat Shiva looking
with
like
the bad
character
computer graphic.
You see this big character pressuring this one tattooist with like, you have to pay, and the guy's like, why? He's like, everyone is paying, and I'm just going and I'm like, okay, let's imagine what's the situation. And I think like the guy dragged in some guest artist, said let's go to convention. Went to convention. I was like, okay, you're at the convention, here's your bill. And the guy's like, nobody asked me that. And he's like, you have to pay. And then down the convention, I met a girl from that shop who happened to be from my country, and we had this little chit chat. And I was like, listen, I saw this situation which I'm curious about. So I was like, it looked like what I said. What happened? And she's like, it's pretty much what happened. And on that convention, she said there were 2 guest artists who said this is our first and last time in this shop. So I think if you are tattooists who like got this awesome deal and you go to some different country and you have like turned out customers for 2 weeks in your shop and you go to somewhere else, at least plan some backups, you know, spread a bit, like chat with other tattoo shops. So, you know, if shit goes down, you at least have a backup to go somewhere else or go back to your country.
Yeah, don't make a journey too long, you know. For first time you have to be safe. Like I usually do, if I do this, I do 2-day, 3-day maximum, like 2 days for me, that's it. I've been in guest spots like that. I went there for 2 days, and not every shop, because I usually go to the shops where I know someone who knows someone, and I know I have kind of idea of that shop's reputation, and I can see things I can recognize. There was few times in my experience where I could feel a little bit like, this shop does not look like 100% what I would like the shop look.
The force is disturbed.
Yeah, and what I decided I go for 2 days. I'll stay one night, I tattoo one day, stay one night, I tattoo another day, and that evening, the second day, I leave. If it's a good relationship and you love that, you can always come back, and I think even the shop will be more happy to see you after seeing you only for 2 days if everything matches, you know. Like this is like totally normal thing to do, and write other tattooers and fucking make friends with tattooers in conventions or whatever, because everyone can help, you know. If you're a good dude, you can have something, some information.
Yeah, that's the one thing I wanted also to mention, is just to network. It might seem sketchy when you will just start to write to people who work there, like, oh, is this shop shit or something? Like, it's a bit tricky. But if you maintained a good relationship with people in different shops beforehand, you can always be like, oh, okay, like, you know, I'm going to the shop, maybe the deal seems too good, or like, just what's the general vibe, or what's the work ethics in there, because it might be money is good, but the vibe is shit, or maybe the ethics, the way they work. So if you kind of get to know people, you always have that thing where you can ask, and it also applies for the like shop owners or managers, because if somebody writes me, I explain, I'm like, okay, I'm this busy and I can't promise you this and I can promise you that. If somebody would apply for work, I've written to the previous place, because you know, everyone comes in, or they often have this attitude as like, oh, I'm this awesome artist, all the previous places like dickheads and whatnot. Yeah, but let me just write that other place, because, you know, like, at least I want to make sure that they will not say like, oh, the guy stole a computer $1 million and a fucking something else, so I know that he's not completely off his rails.
Exactly, like you, both ways, like tattoo shop has to look at and have some information for the tattooer, and opposite. But mostly these are...
Because if someone's fired, they're not gonna go, oh yeah, they fired me because I stole money, you know? They're gonna be like, oh no, just the boss was a dickhead.
I heard some experience where you, as a shop, when someone writes you and he's like, oh, I'm a big fan of your shop, I really would like to work for in your shop for 2 days, and then the guy comes and he has to do a script, and his portfolio is full with old school tattoos, and he's applying script on the hand here. The person was sitting like this. He didn't even had a clue to make the person stand up so the body is straight, and you can check if the script is straight. So he did like a super bad mistake, and it was just 1 to 2, but for a tattoo shop sometimes it's like...
I heard stories also, like, not heard, like I've read on some forums where people say like, be aware of this guy, because he just kind of cheated itself in, and they didn't even know how to set up, so they were just somebody who's like, I'm gonna cosplay tattooist. I'm just gonna like be this and that. So
I think with the tattoo, with the guest tattooers, it's as much trouble as when you're guesting in some tattoo shop. It's like you never know. Like that, you have to know a person, you have to know the shop before you go for it. And like my opinion is like, take it slower you're gonna go, like you meet some new people, go to conventions, you're gonna meet, you're gonna talk, and only then you figure out where you go, instead of like, oh, I need it now, I just learned tattooing, I wanna fucking travel because it sounds exciting. If you think about it, it's like still your work, and what is exciting about going somewhere where everyone is treating you like a shit, you don't get paid, and you have to fucking pay for your own ticket to go both ways, and you don't have income.
And some countries might be expensive to stay as well.
Oh Jesus, yeah. Like for me, from my experience, I always go to guest spots through someone I know, and someone suggested me to go there. And I never had bad experience, like ever. Like I can't count even one bad experience I ever had. And I've been going to shops left and right, like even for 1 or 2 days. It's always been good because I do research before where I'm going, what is this? Someone suggests me to go there. So like this is the way to do it. And again, the same with even with tattooing, it's the same. Like you do a research before you. Yeah, like you can't say you know things before you even know them. Like you have to be ready, you know.
And for tattooists who are like on a higher end, who have their clienteles and fan bases and all that, what's important is then like if you are like that good, if you can play your cards, is get guarantees. You know, every place will say like, yeah, we're gonna book you up, people are fans of you. Then you have to kind of go almost to the legal way with like contracts and whatnot, because I've heard and I've read situations where like people arrange a guest spot, cancel all the, like not cancel but move their appointments to like 2 weeks ahead because they had this one meeting, and on last day they're like, oh sorry, we don't need you because something happened in the shop, or like pay your tickets, you go there, they're like, yeah, you booked up, and they go there and you have 2 bookings, and then they start to pressure you, maybe you can lower your prices, maybe we can work on a split, so
draw some flash.
Yeah, draw some flash or do some design. So at the end of the day you can be like, okay, I'm going there if you guarantee me like X amount of money. Or X amount of customers.
I wanted just to say one thing also about guest spotting. I had some message from some people who are like, what is your opinion about guest spotting? I've been apprenticing for 1.5 years, and I want to do guest spots because I heard it's super exciting. And I was telling the guys, no one wants apprenticed in their shop.
Traveling apprentice.
Yeah, like why would any tattoo shop wants to risk it with someone who is learning? Because you're gonna make a bad reputation for the shop. Most of the people who go to the shop don't know about you as a beautiful artist, but they know about the shop, and that's the first name they know. And when they go out and they see bad shit, they talk bad shit about the shop, not about you as a guest artist. So quit that shit.
And most likely you won't be back for a touch-up.
Yeah, I know it's super exciting. When I started tattooing, the 3rd year I've been tattooing, I heard more and more about guest spotting, and I thought, fuck, I wish I could do it one day, you know. You do it when you know it's time, not just because you want to do it. No, like you have to recognize how good you are right now, and then you fucking do a guest spot.
And also what you can benefit that place, you know, why would they take you in? I mean, if it's a dodgy place, who would take anyone in? Like, whatever.
But in general, like if you want to travel around the world and show your work, that means
you want to build your name.
Yeah, and like what's the point of showing your work and trying to build your name if you can do basics in tattooing, you know? There's a reason why you're called apprentice still, you know. And some guys work for apprenticeship to be done even 2 years. There is no certain years you have to finish to become an apprentice, to become a tattooer. Some shops are, like we talked, some shops are really bad, so that's your fault that you're taking apprenticeship in a bad shop. Some shops are better, but in general, apprenticeship will take 1 to 2 years, and you will have to fucking work hard to show them that you respect where you are. And why would someone wants to give you this beautiful opportunity to work as a tattooer and teach you all these things that they were going hard way through them just because you smile nice or whatever? Like, this is not how it works. So you have to prove yourself in guest spotting, and before you guest spot or before you whatever it is, you have to prove yourself. Be good, someone else gonna tell you you're finally good, and then you're ready to go, instead of like you can dream. It's good.
It's interesting because in a piercing and all that, like maybe more in-depth kind of body art situations, there's a different approach, but then it's like if you are in the community, if you are like, you know, communicating with people and you click, there's an option that people go and like kind of, can I go to your shop and just like mirror you and watch you and learn from you? So you kind of offer your apprenticeship in exchange for learning, but you don't go like, I'm an apprentice and I'm gonna go and rockstar and make tattoos and learn and be amazing. It's more like you being like this medieval learning type of a person where you go to the shop, you're like, okay, I'm gonna help you as much as I can just because you let me mirror you and I'll be around and all that. And if you click with the person, they're like, oh, okay, a different approach, but that's a bit off of what we're talking. More of like, I'm gonna go and just work and like, you know, and they're gonna teach me and I'm gonna be this amazing guy. And
of course you learn from also guest spotting, but you have to be ready for it. It's like a soldier. Before he becomes a soldier, he has to fucking do certain things and then you are on the field fighting.
But the main idea in this one is that the main key is clear communication and be what's expected from you and what you get back. And there's nothing wrong with double checking that, so you could talk with people who's in that shop or who worked in that shop. And I've been in situations when a new person comes to the shop. I talked actually with the person who worked here before because I've been following the place, and it's okay because then you are a bit more open to the real situation because, you know, everyone is polite and everyone wants people, and if they're looking for somebody, they need somebody. When you communicate with especially long-term stuff or stuff, you can find out what was the issues and then decisions are up to you. Finding the place, communicating, being open about questions. I don't think it's a bad thing. It's like, what can you guarantee? Or what's your main approach? Or what's your style? Or how do you do things, you know? Just to sort all that out. If you go with the first good promised guest spot, but then you make friends, it's good to double check what's really going on because you know sometimes those things kind of slow down. So the main key is communication and also being open about your request, because you know somebody is like, oh, I just came here, I need 80% of things, I need fucking guaranteed bookings, minimum 2,000, you pay all the supplies, you suck my dick a little bit, and I'm just happy.
I heard I heard that you're gonna do this.
Yeah, so it's like, it's being open, not to be like, oh, I was promised mad bookings, I came here, I have one, you know, and it's like...
And when you're gonna be more educated before you start a guest, but you're gonna know more about guest spotting, like, so that's another thing. More you're gonna learn before you start guest spotting, more you're gonna know where to go and where not to go. That's another thing that helped me as well. Like, there's always offers, and it's really nice feeling when someone writes you, some unknown person writes you and says, hey, I love your work, come to my shop, you know. I love that feeling too. Be careful, you know, like, these people there's usually people who are seeking for whatever chance, and they might fuck you up.
I mean, we had the previous place where I worked, this one guest artist, he came, but he was like super nice, and he was just like, he said, I have 2 days and whatever happens, I'm fine with it. And he came, and he's like, he came with machines in his back. He didn't even have a power supply. I was like, shit. But luckily, one of the tattooists was off. We didn't communicate about that.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
if it would be a busy day, we would be like, shit, you have a booking, but you can't tattoo because you don't have a power supply.
That guy's been in one tattoo shop before, and they supplied him with a power supply, and he's like, fuck, I don't need any.
He's amazing artist. He do these crazy mandalas. He draws them
that's
from
that one.
He draws them from the scratch. He's like, he's the shit. But he just showed up, like this guy with this little bag on the side. I was like, hi. He's like, I'm that tattooist. I'm like, oh, come in. You know, like, you have appointment in 15 minutes. Like, okay, I need a power supply.
Style.
I'm like, check with the guys. Like, you working? No. Can we borrow your phone? So, like, it's all those communications. So his experience
been completely different till he came here. Like, I remember the guy who was saying, like, mostly there is power supplies in the shop. Like, why wouldn't it be? Especially if it's a big shop, like, there you have 7 tattooers. Like, why wouldn't you be
have a spare
able to?
One,
yeah. Like, you know, fuck.
But we didn't at the time, and it's also like, why would we have one? You know?
Yeah. There can be many reasons why it's no power supplies in the shop.
But it worked out all fine. But again, we didn't communicate.
Yeah, it can turn into bad situations. Like, you come to the shop and you're not prepared, you didn't ask, and suddenly you're like, fuck, I have customers coming, I have no chance to tattoo. And what's the worst scenario? You have to buy a fucking power supply and wait for a few days when it ships.
So communicate! I think that's it. That's enough?
Yeah, enough for this glass.
comment, subscribe, likes and all that stuff. See you in a future episodes.
And if you have any questions about guest splitting, you are free to comment. Don't write me anything.